Welcome aboard Symphony of the Seas. This is our 7-night sailing out of Galveston, Texas. And let me tell you, if you've never cruised with Royal Caribbean out of Galveston, they have the check-in process down to a science. It took us maybe 5 minutes to get through security and into the lounge so that we could wait for our boarding time. And if this is your first time here, hi, my name is Clint and I'm a cruise addict. And if you're also a cruise addict or someone who's looking to become a cruise addict, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss any more of our videos. Now let's get on board and start our vacation. For those of you who want to know, when you board the ship across the gangway, you are entering on deck 5. This is also the running track and where all the lifeboats are. Because the first thing you need to do when you get on the ship is your muster drill. And the only acceptable answer to do before that is maybe grab a celebratory embarkation day drink. Now, when we walk through these doors, we will officially be on the promenade, which is also on deck 5. The promenade on embarkation day is absolute madness because everybody is filing onto the ship. They're trying to find their muster stations or grab their celebratory embarkation day drink. I highly recommend getting off of the promenade as soon as possible because it stays busy until the ship sets sail. And now let's start the walkthrough on deck 16. And yes, I know there are 18 decks on Symphony of the Seas, but the 17th and 18th deck are primarily suites and the suite lounge, so we'll get to that here in a little bit. And as you can see, the water is moving. We are at sea today. On deck 16, you are going to find most of your cabanas as well as a ton of lounge chairs. There's also a really cool spot where you can sit and watch people come down the water slide in this bowl. It's just kind of neat. And this is on the starboard side of deck 16. And for the midsection here, you can see the pools on either side of the ship, but that's really all there is on deck 16 are chairs and cabanas. So if you're a sunbather, get on deck 16 because hardly anybody's ever there. Now down below on deck 15 is where you're going to find all the pools. And over here are some cabanas that you have to pay for. But they do come with a cooler, electricity, and some shade plus some towels. Now we'll just keep walking down deck 16 where you can see the rest of the cabanas as well as more chairs. Over in the middle section over there is a nice shady spot that not many people were sitting, surprisingly, and I thought that would be a spot they would want to hang out at. I truly loved how deck 16 never felt crowded to me. Every time we were up here catching sun, it was never busy. There was never a ton of people, but there's also very limited shade. As you can see right there is some of these shade pylons that will keep you shaded at certain points throughout the day, which is nice. And they do have a bar on this level, so we will get to that. It is on the other side of the ship. Here's an overview of the splash pad. I didn't want to show too much of it, but it is a really neat splash pad. My 5-year-old enjoyed it very much. There is also a hot tub here and a shower. Those are both on deck 15. But this is a good vantage point, so if you've got a little bit older kids, maybe not as young as ours was, you can sit up there and watch and kind of stay away from all the traffic because deck 15 gets very, very busy. So if you have a little one that doesn't like getting splashed, they actually do turn the giant splash bucket off and just let the kids run around and play. Our 5-year-old hates getting his face wet, so he never wanted to go into the splash pad when the bucket was working because he never knew when he was going to get splashed. Now, I couldn't find anything official that said when these days were going to be, so you may just have to ask a lifeguard, and it may be upon request to turn off the bucket. Over here, there's also a baby splash pad for, I believe, 2 and under. So if you have littler kids that want to splash around, they can go in there and do that. And here's just a different angle from the splash pad. You can see the big bucket. You can see they have 2 different water slides. It's just really cool. So walking around, you go through these glass doors and you will see the entrance to the Windjammer Buffet. And that's always my favorite part because the food is always really good on Royal Caribbean. They're closed right now, but I do have some clips from when we were in the buffet when it was all open, and I'll try and work those in. But over here in the middle, they've got these maps. So if you ever get lost or if you're looking for something specific, you can always figure out, for 1, where you are, and for 2, what level you're trying to get to. If you need to go up or down or find wherever, they indicate where you're at with a little red dot. So it'll show right here. You are here. And I always think that's just kind of cool. As you can tell, there's a lot of stuff on deck 16 at the back of the ship, but we'll get to that here in a minute. Here's the buffet. Now, all of your food you're going to find on the buffet is going to be from different cultures and different countries. So I always recommend trying something new, at least one thing on every cruise. One thing I will say that I did enjoy was they have chicken strips and french fries at lunch and dinner. so your little kids will have their chicken strips. It's going to be okay. You also have your build your own pasta bar here, which I thought was really cool. The Alfredo was decent, but the spaghetti I thought was excellent. So definitely try the spaghetti. You can tell it's very packed on embarkation day. So be careful when you go in there because it is so packed you may not find a seat. We always have problems when we do that. Now, one thing I eat a lot of are cold cuts. I love salami, and this is where you find it. You've also got some different other veggies that you can do. This is where you're going to find your hamburger buns or your hot dog buns. And then over here is where you've got your salad bar. This is where you're going to find your fresh fruits, your rolls, your salads, obviously, and all your dressings and everything will be right here. Over on this back wall is going to be your other breads. So you can also get your hamburgers here, your toppings for your hamburger and your hot dogs. They do have some chili here. They've also got some other assortments over here. And then you can kind of see there, that's your condiment section. And then you have the specialties. They're currently serving stir fry, but this is also where you're going to find your omelets in the morning, and they change up the special every single day. It's kind of cool. And of course, everybody's favorite, the dessert bar. Now this is cool because you can get ice cream here, which is great. All right, that's enough. I've had my fill. Let's move on. Now we're leaving the Windjammer and going to the other side of deck 16. This is just the other side of the buffet. It's the exact same. Just remember, before you enter the buffet, washy-washy. Now we're entering deck 16 on the port side, so this is going to be on the left side of the ship. That's the door we just came out of. This is a totally different pool than we saw before. 70 of the Seas definitely has some pools on board. You will not have a problem finding a place to swim. Now directly underneath me on deck 15 is the smoking area, so this pool usually stays pretty covered up. I was actually pleasantly surprised that you can't smell it from the pool, which is a big deal. Now on deck 16, they do have their very own bar. This is the mast bar. So if you do decide you want to rent one of those cabanas, this bar is probably going to be the one who's going to be taking care of you. Be sure and tip these guys because I promise you they will keep the drinks coming all day long. And as you can tell, there's still a ton of lounge chairs and cabanas up here on deck 16, overlooking, yet again, another pool. Now there's usually a hot tub on each side of every pool with a shower nearby because they want you to rinse off before and after you get out of either the hot tub or the pool, which just makes sense because there's a lot of things in that water. Moving on, let's get back on the path of deck 16 and its endless row of chairs. And I'm genuinely curious, has anybody rented one of these cabanas and how did you like it? Let me know down in the comments because I'm just curious about them. Because I've heard they can be anywhere from $200 to $500 per day, so that just seems a little steep to me. I did want to make note that this hot tub on the end is handicap accessible, so if you're looking for a hot tub, this is the one you can go to. And of course the pool. Now on deck 16, you do have access to the suite deck from here. This is on deck 17. They're currently advertising cigars under the stars, which I believe is available to all passengers. It's just a certain time frame where you can go up on the suite deck and smoke cigars underneath the stars. So if you are a smoker, this may be fun to look into. Now we'll make note that there are bathrooms throughout the ship, especially on decks 15 and 16 for the pool. So if 15 is busy, jot up to 16 and you can see a bathroom right here. Now this is one of those cool places that I think is really neat to come and people watch because you can go over here and check out the solarium. So this is the adults only area. And you've got this nice little walkway, it's a little shaded, and you can people watch, which is always fun. Usually you'll just see a lot of people sleeping, so we'll get down there here in a minute. And now let's go inside. So each stairwell is actually labeled by color, and this is 16 red, so we know we are on the port side at the front of the ship. I thought that was kind of cool, and I didn't know that. On deck 16, you will find one of the specialty dining restaurants, Hooked. Hooked seafood, every time I walked past here, smelled amazing. And the ambiance inside looks really cool. On the outside, they'll show you the menu for the day, so you can see what you could possibly have if you decide to pay for that experience or if you have the specialty dining package. But inside here, it's got a very nice nautical theme. And if you love seafood, this place is worth every penny. We didn't get to actually eat here on this sailing, but we really wanted to try it out because it smelled so good. I wish y'all could smell what it smelled like. Like, it smelled delicious. All right, now I've got to get out of here before I spend any money that I don't have. Back to deck 16. Each time you come up to one of these elevator batteries, I always look over because it's just so cool to see that far down into the ship. And Royal Caribbean does a great job of doing some type of art installation. These were all different bubbles that said different words, which was kind of cool. And if you're new to Royal Caribbean or new to cruising, these will be your best friend because these are actually touch screens that you can use to help you find different things around the ship in case you ever get lost. Here's just some shots of the elevator battery on deck 16, as well as the stairwell. It's green. That symbolizes that we are on starboard side towards the front of the ship, next to the solarium. It's green. But now it's time we travel down a deck to deck 15 and we show you around the pools. Now I do want to mention this pool specifically by the yellow water slide because it's what I call the slanted pool. It's the one where the water could be underneath your chair. So if you're looking to sunbathe and wanting some water real close by or wanting to just put your toes in, that'd be the one to go to. Once again, there's some hot tubs outside of the solarium. These have TVs in them. These are very relaxing and they are huge, huge hot tubs. So they usually stay pretty packed though. All right, let's go into the solarium and I will put a reference point. It is very hot in here. Depending on where you're sailing to and possibly the time of year, it was so steamy and just sticky in here. I almost started sweating instantly, but as you can see, there is a ton of chairs for you to sit in. There's multiple decks and hot tubs. There are tons of hot tubs out in here. Also, this is the adults only area. You have to be 18 plus to be in here. It does have its own bar, and as you can see, as of 2026, there is no longer the sculpture that everybody used to talk about. It has now been removed for safety issues. Apparently some of the panels were falling down, but they can still make a very mean cocktail in here and you won't be disappointed. I'm going to show you kind of what the view looks like because you are at the most forward of the ship you can view from. And there's actually a little walkout area over there. You can walk outside, which I thought was really cool. I should have gotten a shot of that, but I didn't. Anyways, as you can see, there's some hot tubs here. They are very large hot tubs. You can't go wrong with a good hot tub. Now, this was a quick interaction with somebody who had seen my videos online, and I loved it.
That's on like the cruise.
A lot of them, yeah.
Okay. It looked like the guy that my boyfriend followed on Instagram who was doing like the stuff.
John, if you're watching, it was a pleasure to meet you, and thank you for watching my videos. I greatly appreciate it. But I got to get back to this tour, so we'll see you next time. All right, and as you can see, there are more hot tubs and a shower over here, and this is all around the bar area towards the front of the ship. Tons of loungers. This place actually fills up very quickly. So if you do want one of those seats directly in front of the window, I would definitely show up early. We honestly didn't spend a lot of time here because obviously we brought our 5-year-old with us, but there just wasn't a lot to do in the solarium other than just sit around and drink. Plus it was way too dang hot in there, I'm just saying. Now, when I was recording this, I totally forgot to get images of the Solarium Bistro. So those glass doors on the other side is actually the Solarium Bistro. This is supposed to be one of the greatest places to go get lunch and or breakfast because it doesn't have a very long line. Not many people know about it, and it is open to everyone, not just adults. And of course, we're back on deck 15. We've got another hot tub. Those also have TVs in them. And of course, I'd like to make note of the bathroom. This is the only bathroom closest to the solarium. And then you've got the perfect storm. This is going to be the Cyclone and the Typhoon. These are two different water slides you can ride. You do have to be 48 inches tall to ride these rides. The entrance is upstairs, so you've got to climb those stairs for you to be able to slide down. And I will say from experience, these are very fun. You will not be disappointed at all. But just around the corner here, you can see the exit to the water slides. They've always got a lifeguard on duty up here and on top. We never had a very long wait during the water slides, but they do stay pretty busy if they're open. And as you can see, there's tons of pool loungers everywhere. There's no need to hog chairs. There's actually signs up that say if you leave your stuff longer than 30 minutes without sitting in your chair, they will remove it. So no more chair hogs. It's great. I do love that the windows open. I just love that. You get that fresh sea air. You can get really cool footage. It's amazing. But this was a pool we actually never went to. It's just the same pool pretty much around the deck, so we never did. This is a life jacket rack as well as the towel station, and they had a specialty drink set up. Those specialty drinks cost extra money because they come in souvenir cups, so be warned, they're not included with your drink package. Also right here next to the towels is the pool bar. This pool bar is always packed. It's very difficult to get a seat here because people are coming and going left and right. Thankfully, they have a ton of bar staff running around seeing if you need a drink. Now, we are entering the smoking section here. This is the stinkiest part of the entire ship, but if you are a smoker, this is where you can do it. This is on deck 15. They are very particular about the smoking section, so if you are not seated in one of those chairs, or if you are not next to one of those chairs, you cannot be smoking or vaping anywhere else. You cannot be next to the pool. You cannot be by the trash cans. You have to be in that very designated area. And another shot of the pool, because this one is right next to the splash pad, so we spent a lot of time bouncing back between the splash pad and here, depending on what our 5-year-old wanted to do. Now you can see the Patty Center. This is for all you scuba divers. That's where you can go and rent equipment when you're at port. Had to do a little juke move. They were coming after me. I don't know what to tell you. But here's the dive center. You can see it's closed because we're at sea today, so there's no need for scuba gear. And everybody's favorite, the soft serve ice cream machines. Now, since COVID, Royal Caribbean never stopped having an attendant work these, so you cannot serve yourself. You do have some of these funky chairs as well as some loungers that you can just sit here. It's shaded. It's still got a little bit of a breeze, but it can be hot if that sun is beaming down on you. So there's also signage for the Abyss that some of it's kind of funny, trying to psych you out, but don't worry, it's fine. You've got some cornhole, you've got some Adirondack chairs that you can sit in. This is leading into the mini golf. And over here is what's called the back deck. This is part of the Fuel Teens Club, so they can actually sit outside while being in the Teens Club. The door said disco. I don't know that kids disco, regardless. So this is the mini golf course, and I will say this is very pretty. I love the aesthetic. I love all the extras. I think it's called Symphony Dunes. Most of the ships are named after the ship. So over here, you do have a ping pong table that you can go play. It's nice and walled in so you don't lose your ball, which is nice. This is the landing pad for the zip line across the deck. I didn't get a chance to do that. I really wish I would have. Now back over here on the mini golf course, there's this VW bus, which I think is really cool. It's a nice photo op. So if you can get everybody together, you can take pictures of yourself through that window at the mini golf course. And of course, another photo op is the surfboards pointing you towards the flow rider. This is just a cool photo op. I think it's also telling people where the flow rider is, but it's not very visible unless you know it's there. Just a quick walk upstairs will get you to the aft of the ship. So this is going to be where your flow rider is. This is your entrance to the Abyss. There is a shower here in case you want to rinse off after you get done wiping out. And speaking of wipeouts, this is the wipeout bar. So if you're spectating while watching somebody kneeboard or boogie board, or possibly waiting on somebody to go down the giant Abyss slide, you can get a nice refreshing cocktail here. There's also seating back here that you can just sit and watch the wake, but most of the time if you're back here, you're going to be watching the surfers because some of these guys are very impressive. I think I cut to one about now. Now this guy was an absolute legend. He is not staff. He is a passenger on this ship, and it's hard to tell because the sun is right in my eyes, but he has to be at least 60 years old. And here's a nice view of the aft of the ship. Everybody loves watching the wake. I could sit up here all day long. This gives you a good idea. You can see both flow riders, the bar, as well as the entrance to the Abyss. If you are interested in riding the Abyss, this is a dry slide that goes down, I believe, 11 stories, which is very cool. It's a very dark slide, but you do have to be 45 inches tall. So if you've got kids, measure them before you leave the house. Here's another shot of the wipeout bar. I never saw a huge line here, which is great. We were always able to just kind of walk up and get a drink if we wanted one. And as well as on the other side of the Abyss, you do have a seating area, and that is a ledge/bar you can lean up against, which I think is cool. And here you have the other flow rider where they're doing tandem boogie boarding, it looks like. Now they don't run these all day, every day, so you've got to check times when they're doing them. You can also pay to reserve this and have special lessons for either boogie boarding or surfing. So keep that in mind. If you're looking to learn how to be a pro surfer, you can schedule that time. And I will add, you're not allowed to be drinking while using the flow rider. Here are some of the rules if you'd like to pause and read them. You do have to take a quick safety class before they'll allow you to stand in line for the flow rider, so just know you've got to be prepared. There's also a bathroom and a shower right there, and to our left is where you can ride the zip line. So if you would like to zip line across the deck, they'll ask you to go sign your waiver so that you can do so, and then you can come back and get in line for that. There's also the basketball court. Everybody loves basketball. They'll do special events here as well. I think they do some pickleball. They'll do a hoops contest, and you can always get in the Facebook groups and ask if anybody wants to do like a 3-on-3 or something. There's always people wanting to play basketball. Now, directly below us is the boardwalk and aqua theater. You can see these balconies, and I think it's really cool. I'm going to have to try one of those cabins one day. And if you've worked up an appetite playing basketball, there's actually a great food spot right here. It's called El Loco Fresh. Now, I'm coming in it backwards because this is the seating area, and to the left is also where you can see the Teens Club. So if you're looking for your teenager at a random hour throughout the night, I guarantee you they're going to be around here somewhere. Between the tacos and the club, this is the spot to be. But let's get back over to El Loco Fresh, because this is one of the spots that we frequented quite often because it's grab and go Mexican cuisine. So you can grab tacos, you can grab burritos, or you can build your own. You can see that they also have a toppings and salsa bar right here, and this has some really good stuff in it. I love jalapenos, so we put jalapenos on all of our stuff. Plus the hot sauce. You cannot forget the hot sauce. In that little cabinet there, you can see they've got some fresh fruit as well as some dessert. You can see this is kind of where you can build your own nacho or taco. They've got some chips laid out for you there, and then they've got quesadillas, tacos, and burritos there. And of course, before you get in line, wash your hands. That's just, it shouldn't be said, but we have to say it. You walk around the windbreakers here, and you go over to another ice cream station. Who doesn't love the free ice cream you can get on a cruise? Because I know we do. Now, I didn't stop by here very long, but you can see directly in front of me, it's called Unboxed. So if you're missing anything like allergy medicine or Tylenol or sunscreen or toothpaste, those are actually vending machines inside there that you can go in and purchase if you've left them behind. Of course, another women's bathroom over there. And we're back at the kids' splash pad. You can see it better from up above, but this is the splash pad. There are age ranges for which ones you have to be in. The older kids cannot go into the littler kids area, so the lifeguards will stop you. There's also lots of kids running around enjoying the splash pad. I'm not trying to record them. I just find that creepy, so we're going to move on very quickly. In between the splash pad and another pool, you do have another pool bar, which is going to keep you extra hydrated or in some cases dehydrated. You've also got another hot tub and a shower that butts up right to the splash pad. So if you're an adult and you can let your kid go free, you can chill in the hot tub. It's great. But let's face it, the kids are going to be in the hot tub too. We're back at the pool bar as well. This is always packed. It's very busy, and it's better off to just have a server bring you a drink in a lounge chair than it is trying to fight the crowds at the bar. Now, on the other side of these stairs, you will see another towel station. Just a reminder, if you've never cruised before, you have to turn these towels back in. And if you don't, they will charge your room. So just be cautious of that. We're going to walk out here in the middle, and you can see they've got the stage set up. This is also where your sail away party is going to start with your cruise director. And you've got a great view of down the side here. You can see where the lounge chairs are. You can see where the pools and the hot tubs, they all mix together. And then down here is one of our favorite places to be. This is Central Park. You can see it from the top of the ship. When you're down in Central Park, you get this wonderful open air without being on top of the ship or actually being able to see the water move. So this is a great cozy spot. We're going to show more of this here later. Here's a little bit different angle from the stage. You can see there's ways you can walk through there. If you are playing in some of the deck games that they do on Sea Day, they have a scavenger hunt. It's a lot of fun. It gets the crowd participation going. And that's about all there is to see out on the top deck. So we're going to drop down to deck 14 and show you Adventure Ocean. I will make note that deck 14 It's mostly cabin space, so there's not a lot there other than Adventure Ocean, and then deck 13 doesn't exist. So here's deck 14 and Adventure Ocean. This is also where you're going to find the escape room called Puzzle Break Center. Now this does come at an additional cost, so we didn't participate because our 5-year-old doesn't know how to put together a real puzzle. So we aren't going to spend money on him trying to escape out of a room. Now at Adventure Ocean on Symphony of the Seas, there's different age ranges, but one thing that almost everybody can participate is in the puppet theater. So you as an adult can come during certain show times with your child and watch a puppet show. This is just another fun way that you get to spend time with your kids on a cruise and they're not extremely bored. Now on embarkation day, you do have to come in and check in and sign your kid up for Adventure Ocean, so don't forget that. It also gives you a chance to tour the facilities that they have available for you. So these are the 3 rooms for Adventure Ocean. 3 to 5-year-olds are aquanauts, 6 to 8 are explorers, and 9 to 12 are voyagers. They also have the Imagination Studio, and they have set times where you and your child can come in and do an arts and crafts project, which I think is pretty cool. You can see inside the aquanauts room, they've got a nice big playmat, a TV, they've got a little jungle gym / slide, got tons of things they can do in there. My kid had a blast, and that's the aquanauts room. Now we can jump over to the Explorers room, and this was my favorite because it had all the video games in it, okay? They had Switch, they had Xbox, they had PlayStations, all for the kids to play on, which I love because my kid is a gamer. I can't help it, but he is. They had so many more activities in this room, I feel like, because the 6 to 8 age range are harder to keep their attention span on. And then you've got the Adventurer Science Lab. So once again, you can come in with your child and do science experiments at sea. And I think that's so fun. I wish we could have caught one of these times to do it. You do have to check the app. And I totally goofed when I said Voyagers was 9 to 12. It's actually 9 to 11. And this one's going to be very similar to your Explorers because they've got video games and things for them to do in there. And they've also just got some lounge space so that the kids can just hang out. But now let's take you over to a couple of the other areas on board of the Adventure Oceans Club. You do have a family bathroom here in case you need to change your child before you take them into Babies and Tots, which is just right over here. So Babies and Tots is 2 and under. So if you have a 2-year-old and you want to pay for a nursery, they will actually do so. This does come at an additional fee, and there's only limited times you can do so. So if you want to cruise with your baby, they have options for you. These do come with additional rules, so you need to look into those. And then there's just this little play area that you can come day or night and use at your own will. You do have to supervise your child the entire time they're in there, but this lets them run around and run off some energy. And like I said before, cruise ships are superstitious, so we're going to go ahead and jump to deck 12. Now, I realized I was on the wrong side of the ship, so I had to go to the other side. But the only thing of mention on Deck 12 is the specialty dining restaurant, Wonderland. Now, this restaurant does come in at an extra cost, or if you have the specialty dining package, you can do that as well. It is a play on Alice in Wonderland in a very neat way of experiencing elegant dining, and I thought it was a really cool experience that I will have to try again. But one of my most favorite parts has to be the sheer elegance and design of this restaurant, because you've got the door, you've got this beautiful bar behind it, the lights in the ceiling, it's just beautiful. But this couch, I don't understand what this couch is. It's just creepy in my opinion. But if you're looking for a nice cool place to sit down and have a drink, you can do that in this little corner, and it's very pretty and very photogenic. We took a couple pictures on that couch. It's kind of weird. But the bar service up here is top notch. You can get some specialty cocktails that are specific to the restaurant. There's your menu. You have to paint it with a water brush and it reveals the menu to you. You've got this seating upstairs. Now there were people downstairs eating, and I didn't want to disturb their dinner, and I didn't get a chance to film while we were eating there, so I just left that alone. Now we are going to jump down to deck 9 because decks 11 and 10 are just cruise cabins. There's nothing relevant on those spaces, so those are just rooms. So there's no need to film the hallway. I think it's a very boring video. And I need y'all to hit the thumbs up button, so I hope my video's not boring you. And here we are on deck 9. So those skateboards you just saw a minute ago is a great place to hide ducks. For my duck hunters out there, it's been one of my favorite spots to go and put a duck behind the skateboard and see if anybody finds it. Surprisingly, everybody found them really quickly. And once again, here in the elevator battery, you've got a wonderful piece of art. You can see the bridge down below on the promenade, as well as you can see Central Park out the window. And that's one of our favorite spots to go and just sit and chill, grab a drink, and enjoy life. We're on vacation. Now, this is the second level of Dazzle's Jazz Club. So it's a jazz club. You can go in there, you can get a drink, you can dance, you can listen to some music. It's a really chill spot. And they had the top closed off, and I don't really know why, but they had it closed off. It was a little irritating. Don't they know I'm trying to film a video here? So we're going to send you on down to deck 8 so that we can see Dazzles. Other than Dazzles on deck 9, there is nothing there, just more cruise cabins. And here is the entrance to Dazzles from deck 8. Once again, they had some people in there, so I kind of did a little spin around so they could get out. I didn't want to interrupt. And then I figured out that they were done, so I decided to go back in. Dazzles, once again, is the jazz club. They had some really good singers in there, and it's very pretty. It's very elegant. It's definitely somewhere you can go hang out in flip-flops, but you almost feel bad for hanging out in here in flip-flops. They've got a live band, and that view out the window is so impressive. You get to see the entire boardwalk. You get to see the abyss, everything. And when they've got the lights turned down and the music going and you see all the lights come up from the boardwalk, it's just pretty. I can't describe it any other way. I'll spin around here and show you the bar. The bar is a full service bar. It's they're pretty quick and their drinks are very delicious. It's also fun to note that upstairs is just seating, so if you need a drink, it is downstairs. They do have waiters that'll come around and serve you. We honestly like sitting upstairs more because you get a better view out the window. You also can see everybody dancing. It's just a lot more fun that way. And now let's take you to Central Park aboard Symphony of the Seas, because this was my wife's favorite area. All the greenery, all the plants, it made her feel like she was back on land. And that made a big difference for her because she has seasickness problems. She's always having to take the medication, but being around all these plants, putting off fresh oxygen, it was just great. A little Central Park sign, you can kind of get an overlay, almost like a map. The art installations in here are very cool. Plus you've got the giant windows. You can actually have a Central Park balcony. One of the things that we definitely got to try more of are these interior balconies that overlook into parts of the ship, because I think that would be very interesting. Now, you do have to be careful in Central Park because you will get caught up. It's kind of a maze, but it's not hard to find your way out. Also, Royal Caribbean has stated that you're not allowed to hide ducks in this area as to preserve the plants. I assume that's what the security guard is looking for. And here is Chop's Grill. So this is the premier steakhouse on board. This does come at an additional cost, and it is also included in your specialty dining package if you purchased one. For this restaurant, they do have indoor and outdoor seating. You do just have to request this upon entering and making your reservation. Now, this is the entrance to the Rising Tide Bar. This comes up about every 30 minutes from the promenade, which is a really cool experience that I highly recommend you give a try. Now, here in Central Park, there are tons of spaces and seating that you can just sit and kind of enjoy the greenery. I highly recommend coming out here at nighttime because that is when it is the most peaceful and they usually have music. Here's the entrance to the other side of the Rising Tide Bar. It looks like the next departure is at 7 p.m. Now there's another specialty dining restaurant here in Central Park. It's 151 Central Park. The bread here is to die for. So if you know, you know. I've honestly had mixed reviews about this restaurant, and I think it's worth it if you have the specialty dining package to at least try it out. Like I said, the bread. And now I'm going to take you to one of my favorite spots in Central Park, and that is the Trellis Bar, because it has a wonderful seating area as well as cold drinks. Our cruise cabin was on deck 8, so having this bar right around the corner made it super easy for us to bring drinks back to our cabin and enjoy them on the balcony. These bartenders saw me more than they probably actually wanted to, but they were probably the best bartenders I've had on the entire ship. And as we're in the middle of Central Park, I always like to explain that all of the plants here are real plants. They have horticulturists on board to take care of these plants and keep them growing and growing and growing. So they take a lot of pride in Central Park, and it's one of my favorite spots to come and sit and relax and chill. Now, as you see, you have these glass window domes in the middle of Central Park. These are actually windows that shine natural light down into the promenade on deck 5, which I think is extremely impressive. Which now brings us here to Park Cafe. Park Cafe is one of the spots on the ship where you can actually grab and go certain food items in the mornings and lunchtime if you're not really wanting to fight the crowd at the buffet. And if you just like your coffee black, this is a great spot to just stop and grab a cup of coffee. Now, Park Cafe isn't open all day long, but it is open for a majority of the day, as you can see the hours here. Our favorite time to come was in the morning for breakfast. Park Cafe is included with your cruise fare, so you can just grab and go as you please, and you don't have to pay any additional fees. They even have a build-your-own salad bar, plus a standard drink station available. So whether you're wanting coffee or tea or maybe just some water, you can stop in Park Cafe, sit and enjoy a cup of coffee. And honorable mention, they do have fresh cookies here. So if your child's got a sweet tooth like mine does, stop and get them the chocolate chip. It comes highly recommended. As you can tell, there's a lot of seats in here, but I'm really wanting to show you this back wall because this is a living wall. So this is all moss growing on this wall. This is a real plant. This is not fake. I just think that's really impressive, and it's a really nice feature here on Symphony of the Seas. There was honestly very little that we weren't impressed with here on the ship because everything was in beautiful condition. We thought the food was good. We thought the atmospheres of the neighborhoods were good. We just had an amazing time. Now I'm going to take you out the side door here because this is kind of the patio for Park Cafe. You can see there's different seating places here. They do have it chained off, so you do have to walk through the front door and then out here onto the patio once you've got your food. Now over here underneath this awning, there's a nice little seating area that you can sit and sip a nice cold drink if it's late in the evening, or sip your coffee. It's just a shaded area and it overlooks the central of Central Park. This is usually where you will find live music in the evening. They usually have soft guitar or even a cello and violin. It's very, very nice. And I'm still daydreaming about having a balcony in Central Park because I think the music with some ambiance on your own personal balcony, I can just imagine it being a game changer. Next up, we have Jamie's Italian. This is the Italian restaurant on board, and I must say, I love a good pasta. This is one of our favorites for embarkation day lunch. Usually if you make reservations before embarkation day, you can get it at an extreme discount. And that way you're not fighting the crowds at the buffet. And there's still a few more secrets here in Central Park that I've got to show you, but this one that's coming up is actually called Vintage. Now, Vintage is a tapas and wine bar. Now, I'm not a big wino, but my wife loves wine, and we didn't get to try this out, but I've heard some amazing things about the food inside. I've also heard that this is one of the quieter spots on the ship. So if you enjoy a nice glass of wine and want to get away from a busy restaurant, this may be worth checking out. Now, before we set sail on Symphony of the Seas, I obviously watched a bunch of cruise vlogs to figure out what all the hot spots were. This white deer, for some reason, it is massive, and I just was not expecting it. But that goes to say a lot of the artwork in Central Park is very beautiful and eye-deceiving. You've also got a very pretty sign that says Central Park, and then also you've got the shopping here. So if you're really looking to lose some money on a cruise ship, this is where you can do it. Now, these are the higher end shops that will have more name brand things for you to purchase on board. But honestly, my favorite is this little nook right here. This is a great spot to get away from everybody. I never saw anybody here. So if you just want to be wrapped around plants, this is the spot to sit and relax. Now, that is about all Central Park has to offer. Like I said, the nightlife here is our favorite part, plus the trellis bar. You can't go wrong. I also got the feeling that the security guard was following me, so I wanted to make a beeline for the exit. Now, because I don't think I've shown it, this is what the elevator hallways look like, or the elevator batteries. There's usually 6 elevators on each side. And of course, our trusty Symphony of the Seas iPad is what I'm going to call it. So you can actually see exactly where you are and locate your room if you touch on the screen. And for all my duck hunters, this was my absolute #1 spot to hide ducks on because there are so many little shelves you get to pick from. It was just beautiful. Now we are going to drop down to deck 6 and look at the Vitality Spa. All of deck 7 is cruise cabins except the 7 of Hearts card room. There wasn't much there. Now this sculpture and these plants outside of the Vitality Spa are duck hotspots, just saying. But if you are looking to relax and possibly get a coffee in the mornings, the Vitality Spa has its own cafe that does serve Starbucks style coffee. They also have an assortment of different smoothies that you can get that are all included with your drink package. Now, the Vitality Spa has a ton of different things. One to make note of is they do have IV therapy. So if you do feel that you are dehydrated, you can come in and get an IV here. This is also where you will get your massages. If you bought a pass to the thermal suite, if you enjoy working out, the gym is right there. The Vitality Spa is not for me. I'm not pretty enough to be in here, but I do think some of the stuff in here was really cool. They usually do some sort of free class or at least a walking around learning experience so that you can see what the spa offers. Sometimes you can get an extreme discount out of this, so maybe look into that. All right, and let's figure out what else Deck 6 has to offer. Now, if you're anything like me, I am a people watcher. I love to just watch people interact. I love to watch all of the crazy things someone could do because you never know what's going to happen. It's like reality TV. Here on Deck 6, there's kind of this overlook that you can see into Boleros, you can see down the promenade, you can see down to Deck 4 where the casino is. It's just a really neat area. There's nothing really here, and I really wish there were some chairs here because I would sit here for a long time. Now, one of the interesting things about Deck 6 on Symphony of the Seas is it is a split level. So there are 2 different sides that you cannot walk directly through to get to the other side. So you have to kind of walk around it. Now we're going to go ahead and start walking down to Deck 5 so that I can start showing you what the promenade actually looks like. Once again, the color of this stairwell is purple. I always enjoy a lot of these stairwell art pieces. They are very pretty. Definitely take some time to stare at them. And as I was rounding the corner, I heard music coming from the elevator and I knew it had to be the infamous Stowaway. The Stowaway piano player on Royal Caribbean ships is always something fun to find. He's not always in the same place twice, so you do have to try and find him. He could be in Central Park, he could be in an elevator, he could be in the promenade, he could be at the pool deck. And here is the view of the promenade from Deck 6. You can see all the hustle and bustle that's going on down below. And over here to your right, you will find the Shore Excursions desk as well as Focus, which is your photos center. So if you've been taking pictures all around the ship or even at port, this is the place to stop and check those out. Now, as far as shore excursions go, if you don't have one booked before you get on the ship, you're going to be paying full price for these. So I highly recommend taking advantage of those sales in-app before you ever get on the ship. And the same goes for the photo package. If you know you're going to want some pictures taken on the ship, definitely try and find those sales early on so that you're not paying full price. And for all you duck hunters out there, this was actually one of the spots that stayed pretty empty throughout the sailing. This was the last sea day, so everybody was rushing to get their photos before they got off the ship the next morning. We found several ducks in this area, so I highly recommend stopping by every time you're headed down to the promenade. Now, I'm not going to lie, I really like some of these picture frames. I can take the photo myself, but I can absolutely not live without a towel animal picture frame. That's too cute. I need this in my life. Now, when I got back to the staircase, I was just going to go left and show you the schooner bar, but the rising tide bar was on its way down, so I thought it'd be cool to show you kind of what that looked like. But nonetheless, here is the loyalty desk as well as the schooner bar. The schooner bar is a fan favorite because it has a nautical theme to it. I honestly believe that some of the best cocktails are at the schooner bar. One of my favorite is the old fashioned that they do with smoked marshmallows. It's top notch. Go try it. Now, just outside the schooner bar, I want to show you this thing. I honestly don't know what it's called. It's entertainment art. If you stand inside of it, it kind of sounds like you're in a seashell. And as you can tell, it's broken at the moment. My wife said she could hear stuff, but I couldn't. I really wanted to make note of this couch because it was actually very comfortable. Plus, I thought it was just a cool place to sit and relax. You know, do some people watching. Just on the other side of this couch is the loyalty desk. You can kind of see it back there. It's just nice to make note that it's actually there. And for this side of deck 6, that's all there is. The rest will just be cruise cabin. Now, underneath the stairs is really cool because this is all live moss. Don't put ducks here, or food, or trash, or anything else. Respect the plants. Now, I've got you flipped around, but this is guest services, and as you can tell, they're very, very busy. Now, we had a couple of issues while we were on board and had to wait in these lines, and it's never fun. But the staff is there to help you, so please be patient. All right, next we're coming up on Regalia. This is your watch central. So if you're somebody who likes a timepiece, go check this place out because they've got some really neat ones. As you can see, some of these in the window. Now for reference, the Voom internet desk is directly underneath the stairs with the live moss that I just showed you. So on embarkation day, if you need help getting set up, they're usually there. I was gonna try and get a shot of the ship layout there, but there were too many people around. It was crazy. Then over here on the other side is the port and shopping desk. This is usually where you can find information about what sales are going on, what events are going on. They also usually have the FE ducks here displayed, but if they haven't been found, then they're not in the case, which usually means you have a chance to win them still. And now over here on the other side is the Bionic Bar. So this is the robot bar you see all over social media about how robots can make your drink. You use the iPads here, you select the drink you want, and then you wait and watch as it's created. You can see over here on the side, looks like somebody's getting a drink made. It'll tell you exactly which lane it's coming out of. You do have to swipe your CPAS card to collect the drink. That's how it moves forward. One thing that I really enjoyed about this is it allows you to try different things you wouldn't think of, and they're also not regular bar menu items. So definitely go try some of these drinks out. They also have a really nice lounge. This was always somewhat packed because everybody wants to watch the Bionic Bar, but it's also kind of dark and dim, which is nice. And moving on. Right here in the middle of the promenade, you can see this giant hole. This is usually where the Rising Tide Bar is. Currently, it is up in the air. I thought I was going to be able to catch pictures of it. I'll show some more of that here in a minute. But this is a really cool experience. It is free of charge. You do have to get a drink while you're on there, but that can be as little as a soda or a water or your favorite beverage. Me and my 5-year-old rode this up, and it was a really cool experience. The bartender actually walked over and asked if he would like a shot of ginger ale, and I thought that was a great idea. So we took a shot of ginger ale together on the Rising Tide Bar, and we got some pretty crazy looks. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of enjoyed that. Now, while you're down here on the promenade, if you're waiting for the Rising Tide Bar, definitely go check out the collection. These are all pre-loved handbags. Most of them are name brand, so if you need a nice new handbag, go check it out. One thing about Royal Caribbean promenades is you will always find some sort of car on the promenade. This one is actually a crumbled up Volkswagen Beetle art installation. It's in a perfect circle. How they did that, I have no clue. And for all my coffee lovers, Cafe Promenade. Now this is the place where you can go get Starbucks style coffee that is included with your drink package. And here's a pro tip for embarkation day. Ask your barista for an iced coffee with no ice, and then you can stick it in your fridge and not have to wait in the long line that there's going to be in the morning. And of course, Cafe Promenade does have an assortment of grab and go items. Currently, they've got a couple sandwiches, they've got desserts, fruit, and some cookies. Now in the mornings, you can also find fruit as well as some pastries. Now I did a terrible job filming it, but there is a drink station here with regular just black coffee as well as a water station, and of course, tons of seating. Now one of my favorite spots right next to Cafe Promenade is the shop. The shop is the one place where you can get all of your cruise line merch. There are two things that I buy on every single cruise ship we go on, and that is a hoodie with the ship's name on it, as well as a keychain ship model. Now right next to the shop is one of my wife's favorite places to visit, and that is the Copper and Kettle. This is an English style pub that offers live music, cold drinks, and an amazing atmosphere. My wife actually found one of her new favorite drinks in this pub, and it's called Cool as a Cucumber. So of course that comes highly recommended for you to try on your next sailing here on Symphony. This was our favorite bartender. His name was April. Definitely give him a big tip. But as you can see, there is tons of seating in here, and this atmosphere at night when the music is playing is awesome. Now right across the way is Sorrento's Pizza. You can see over here you've got a little seating area as well as a drink station. But of course, you cannot get in line without getting a slice of pizza. I mean, plus the line was empty, so I just had to get a piece of pizza. Now they usually have 3 different types of pizza how: pepperoni, cheese, and a specialty. Today's was Caribbean Dream. Now normally I'm a pepperoni guy, but I was thinking I haven't tried this one, so I had to get a slice. And it was really good. It's like a barbecue with ham, delicious. But of course, they also have tons of other specialties that you can pick up. Just figure out what they're serving on that day. I also want to make mention that there are 2 freestyle machines here at Sorrento's, and as of 2026, these are no longer included with your drink package. To get the special cup that you need to access the freestyle machines, you must purchase them when getting on the ship. Now, I will say that the seating outside of both the pub and Sorrento's fills up very quickly because I do a lot of activities here in the promenade. And if you're new to cruising, let me tell you about the next cruise desk. This is a cruise addict's favorite spot because this is where you can actually book your next cruise while still at sea. And sometimes these come with special discounts as well as special perks. And a fun fact, if you have a favorite travel agent, even when you book your cruise through the next cruise desk, you can still have it transferred to your travel agent. All you have to do is give your travel agent the reservation number and they will still get credit for it. Now, there is a lot of shopping here on Symphony of the Seas, but there's one store that obviously stands out, and that is the duty-free store. This is where you can get all of those items import tax-free. But that's not why I'm telling you about it. This is where you can go and get the stuff you've left at home. If you've forgotten shampoo or sunscreen or a toothbrush, they will sell it there. You also have vendors here in the middle of the promenade, and this is a mix of everybody. So whether you want a nice hat or a Royal Caribbean t-shirt, you can find it here. Kind of just want to show you what we've already looked at so far that's behind us. And then you have Solera Beauty. Now, I've never personally been in this. This is as close as I go. But if you're interested in buying some of this stuff at sea, here you go. Now, if you remember earlier, I mentioned that from Central Park, there were those domes that gives the promenade natural lighting. Well, you can kind of see it here above the giant sculpture. You can also see the windows from the promenade view rooms. Once again, I've got to try out some of these cabins. Now, if you're a karaoke rock star, On Air may be the bar for you. This definitely gives you Radio City Music Hall vibes, but you're out in the middle of the ocean. And I love up here on the scrolling marquee, it actually gives you fun facts about the ship, so you can just sit back and learn something new. Now, they were currently doing trivia in here, and I didn't want to interrupt, but you can see the announcer of trivia sitting at this desk. This is where you'll sign up for trivia and or karaoke. And this is where you can sit and enjoy a cold drink as you watch somebody try and sing Britney Spears. They're currently doing Star Wars trivia, and I actually knew the answer to this one, which was really cool. Now, on the other side is the bar. I don't remember trying anything special from this bar, and that could be a good or a bad thing. I will say I never had a bad drink from here. Now, we are almost to the end here at the promenade. You do see the Starbucks there. This is the elevator battery, as well as the stairs down to the adult arcade, also known as the casino. This is the entertainment place, as the sign dictates. But before we go downstairs, let's go ahead and go over to Bolero's. Now, this is the Latin Mojito Bar. This is where you're going to hear loud music and a lot of dancing. This place stays packed. People will be dancing out in the middle of the promenade because they can't get in the bar. But I truly love the vibe in here. Plus, if you're a mojito fan, you can't go wrong with Bolero's. Because I promise you, the bartenders here know exactly how to make the perfect mojito. So if you and your partner are feeling like some salsa dancing, I guarantee you this is the place to be. I don't know entirely what this sculpture is supposed to be, but it is really shiny, has pretty lights in it, and kids were crawling all over it. That's about all I know. It is really tall and really kind of cool. Right next to this sculpture is the Starbucks. If you have the deluxe drink package, then this is not included. But if you do have a Starbucks gift card, you can use them here on the ship. They work just the same. All right, let's head down to the entertainment place, also known as Deck 4. But don't worry, we're still going to come back to Deck 5. There's still more to see here. Now, these stairs just lead you down to Deck 4. For some reason, I feel like I need to mention that the elevator still will take you down to Deck 4. I will say that you need to make note of what side of the ship you were on, just in case you don't want to walk through the adult arcade, aka the casino. Now, I'm not going to show a lot of the casino, but this section right here is a non-smoking section of the casino. This is its own separate room. This is not connected to the larger part of the casino, so keep that in mind. And then we have the attic. This is going to be your comedy club as well as your late night club. They were doing something private in there, I don't know what, but they had the doors locked, so I couldn't go in. And I'm so happy at how this turns out because those are not screens, those are just holographs. Trippy, right? But now let's move on to another favorite, which is Studio B. This is where all the ice skating happens. This is also where Crazy Quest and the Royal Roundup take place. Now, this is just a small clip of Ice Skate 2.0. They were currently performing as I was filming. This is one of their more upbeat skating shows that I think I preferred more than the other one. But nonetheless, I think every single crew member out there has an immense amount of talent. If you're someone who loves ice skating or wants to try it out, why not try it out on your next vacation? There are set times you can check in the app that you can actually go ice skating while you're on the ship. Now on either side of Studio B there are entrances to Casino Royale. I'm going to walk you down both sides and show you the differences. If you go towards the right, obviously you see the giant Casino Royale sign, but you'll also walk through the art gallery, also known as Park West. All of this art can be purchased if you enjoy it enough and want to take it home. They even hold art auctions and scavenger hunts here at Park West. I also believe that they do free champagne, so that may be something to look into. Either way you go, this is an extremely long hallway. At least they give you something very pretty to look at. So I think I'm just going to cut to my favorite piece that I found. Look how cool this dragon is. Okay, back on topic. Now, it is nice to know that if you go on the right side down Park West, this is the non-smoking side of Casino Royale. But if you walk down this hallway, you can already smell the smoke. Now, other than the art installations on these walls, this is just a very long hallway. I do want to point out that there are some cool pieces of art here, like these rock formations. These are obviously not real, but they are very cool. And I will say this guy was very angry. He must have lost a lot of money in there. But look at this hallway. This is something straight out of The Wizard of Oz, okay? I will say if you are leaving the adult arcade at a late hour and maybe a little overindulged, this is probably the hallway you want to walk down, because if you walk down the other hallway and ruin a piece of art, they will charge you for it. Don't ask me how I know. Just take my word for it. And then here is the smoking side of Casino Royale. Now I will take you just a step further than I did, but it's actually against the rules for us to film while the casino is actively open. I tried filming once and they asked me to leave immediately. As I'm walking up deck 4, I did want to mention the giant sucker in the room. This is one of those great photo ops you've got to take advantage of while you're on the ship. Now we're back on deck 5 and we're pretty much just walking straight through. I think I see that the rising tide bar is back, so I'm going to try and show you a little bit of it before we go to my favorite spot on Symphony of the Seas. Now while the rising tide bar is open, it goes up in 30-minute increments. So if you want a seat on this, you've got to grab it quick because this fills up very fast. And of course, and I can't say it again, tip your bartenders, tip your wait staff, because they work very hard to make every sailing perfect. Oh, I totally forgot. I haven't shown you the main dining room yet. Out of all the wonderful places you can eat on board, the main dining room experience is still top notch. If you like that upscaled restaurant vibe, then the main dining room will be your best friend. Because not only is the food delicious, the waitstaff is phenomenal. Now I will say that I absolutely hate recording people eating, but I had honestly forgotten that I didn't have footage of the main dining room. I didn't take my camera when we actually went to eat in there. So now I must just brave my fears and push through so that I can bring you the best cruise content I possibly can. Now we are on deck 5 and this is the 3rd level of the main dining room. And if you've never eaten in the main dining room, it's usually a 3-course meal. You will have an appetizer, an entree, and a dessert. Now the main dining room is complimentary, but you do have the ability to upgrade. Say if you order the steak, you can add a lobster tail for an additional cost. And if you didn't get completely full on your 3-course meal, you can ask for additional appetizers and desserts. I believe they will charge you $5 for an extra entree. Don't quote me on that. And if you are new to cruising, there are usually 3 separate main dining room times: 5 o'clock, 7:30, and anytime dining. Now myself, we choose anytime dining because we don't frequent the main dining room. We just cruise with kids and they don't like the main dining room. Now with anytime dining, you do have to make a reservation in the app, and you also are on a specific deck. For this sailing specifically, we were on deck 3. We didn't make a reservation and just walked in and still had to wait probably 20-30 minutes to get a table. That was my fault, not theirs. But now, without further ado, I will show you my favorite spot on Royal Caribbean's Symphony of the Seas. We spent so much of our time out here on the boardwalk. This was just our happy place, especially with our 5-year-old. They were always having some sort of entertainment going on out here, plus just the amenities that the boardwalk offers. Now at the time of this recording, you can see that they are getting ready for the silent disco. As we walk through the doors, you can see the headphones over here to your right. Over there on your left, the DJ looks like he's getting set up. And the fun is about to begin. This is one of those weird art pieces. You can actually put the purple hair on your head, but it's very heavy, so I don't actually recommend that. You also have these wood carvings of the carousel horses, which I think is really cool. This is how they're actually made. So each one was actually handcrafted for Royal Caribbean ship. And you get to see the design process, how it all started, and then obviously what it looks like when they go into paint. Now, I do feel this needs to be mentioned. The carousel is free. You can ride it as many times as you want, but I will say that this is a fan favorite out here on the boardwalk, and kids will line up for a very long time trying to get on this thing. If you catch it just right, like right now, there's nobody here because it's in the middle of dinner time. So everybody's either at the main dining room or at the buffet, so the line is very short, which is great. Now, if you've got a sweet tooth while you're on board or maybe just hanging out on the boardwalk, you've got to check out Sugar Beach. This is going to be your candy store and kind of a toy store, but you can get some really good ice cream here. Everything in here is an additional charge, but there is some really cool stuff and it's not too bad priced. Plus, the options are endless. And if you're somebody who likes to cruise on a budget, maybe stay out of here because I bought too much stuff for my kid in this store. But what can I say? He ate all his dinner. He deserved a prize. Now, everybody knows that you can get ice cream for free, usually around the pool deck. But here at Sugar Beach, if you want the elevated ice cream, you do have to pay an additional charge. But they have a way wider variety of flavors and toppings, and obviously they've got waffle cones. And that's a big home run for me. I love me some waffle cones. You can kind of see what the prices are right now, and this was in May of 2026, so those are subject to change. Now let's get out of here and go find something else on the boardwalk. Next, I'm going to show you one of the other free food options here on the boardwalk. This is the Dog House. So if you are a fan of hot dogs, this is your place to go. Now when this is open, they've usually got a couple of different styles of hot dogs, so always check it out. I think it's cool, plus it's free, so you can't go wrong. Now they're currently serving cotton candy here right now, and let me give you a little PSA. If you're out on the boardwalk in the middle of the ocean in summertime, the cotton candy will melt extremely quickly and get everywhere. I don't recommend buying this. Now they do have a couple of different games right outside on the boardwalk from the Playmakers arcade. So if you are looking for a little bit of entertainment, this kind of directs you where to go. This is the arcade at Playmakers. Playmakers itself is the sports bar that does have food at an additional cost. I highly recommend the campfire cookie because it is delicious. But if you're out at sea and want to catch a game, Playmakers is the place to be. Now here's my hot take on this next spot. It's called Johnny Rockets. Now, Johnny Rockets is delicious and I love the 50s diner atmosphere, but it is also not included with your cruise fare, and I prefer Guy's Burgers any day of the week. Now, Johnny Rockets does serve a free breakfast in the mornings if you can find a spot. We tried several times on this sailing to try and get breakfast at Johnny Rockets, and it was so packed. There was a line out the door. Every seat was taken, but I heard the breakfast was really good, and the atmosphere, of course, is going to be phenomenal. The crew, especially in here, were awesome. They always took care of us with a smile, and they do sing and dance, which I think is kind of cool. If you're somebody who can stand to wait in the mornings for breakfast, I'd definitely check this diner out. Now, one of my favorite things about the boardwalk is at night, it is so lit up and it looks so cool because you've also got the Aqua Theater just behind me. Now, this is the very aft of the ship, so this is going to be where you can watch Hero aboard Symphony of the Seas. This is the water and diving show. I highly recommend booking all of your shows, including the Aqua Theater, before you set sail. We had to wait until we got on the ship to actually book our shows, and that was a mistake. When we went to watch Hero, we had the 10 o'clock show, and our 5-year-old fell asleep. We just let him sleep and we finished the show because it was truly awesome. Highly recommend checking out the show. Now here's just a few clips from the show. I hate spoiling any show for anybody who hasn't been on Symphony of the Seas or at least seen it before, but I will say this was an amazing show. I absolutely loved the music, and what these guys can do is just phenomenal. Now here in the Aqua Theater, they will have movies play on the screens every once in a while. You just need to check your app for when they're going to be doing that. Now here on the aft of the ship, they also have the rock climbing walls. This is on either side of the ship. You can just go up these stairs. You will have to sign a waiver and check in. And they'll even have like speed runs where you can be in a competition and actually see how fast you can climb the wall, which I think is kind of cool. And yes, this is included in your cruise fare. It doesn't cost any extra to do the rock climbing, which I think is a big bonus. Now, do you remember on deck 15 and I was talking about the Abyss dry slide? Well, here it is. This is an 11-story dry slide that you can take. It is the largest dry slide at sea. Its only downside is I wish it was a clear tube because I want to be able to see going down. I think that would be too cool. Now, I didn't show it, but over here is the check-in station for the rock climbing wall. You do have to sign a waiver. This is where they hold your harnesses, and this is kind of where you know if you can rock climb or not. And of course, everybody's favorite, here is the wake of the ship, and I could stare at this all day long. This is actually a really nice spot to just come and chill too. Now, over here is a little secret spot, and I will say if you look over this wall, you will find somebody's cruise cabin. I don't recommend it. It's a clear invasion of privacy. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. Moving on! I'm going to take you downstairs to another semi-secret spot. A lot of people actually know about this spot, but I think it was extremely cool, and I haven't seen a whole lot of people actually talk about it. So at the back of the Aqua Theater, down on deck 5 with the running track, they have some loungers set up at the aft of the ship that you can see and be kind of at peace. You're kind of alone. It is on the jogging track, so people could be walking around, they could be running around, but it's a nice chill spot that not a lot of people will go to. So I think this is one of the greatest spots you can be at if you're at port and or trying to catch a sunrise, because you have the ability to go from either side of the ship and it's very open. And you can see at the back of the Aqua Theater. Now, I will make note that during shows, this is closed off. You cannot see through here. They pulled the curtain so that you can't view the show from the back end. And they do use parts of the running track for their stagehands and moving throughout the stage and performance. So just, make note of that. But being able to come out here and just chill and watch the water and let your cares go by, I thought this was a truly amazing place that I haven't seen on a whole lot of ships before. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you watching this video. We have now seen all of Symphony of the Seas in all of its glory, and I greatly appreciate you watching this video. Please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so that you can stay up to date on all of our videos as we get them out. And as always, spork out.